Today we're going to be talking about two different theorems dealing with angles in triangles. The first is called the triangle angle sum theorem. And the second is called the triangle exterior angle theorem. So these are the two theorems that we're going to be using today. So first thing we're going to look at is the triangle angle sum theorem. So if you notice, we have our familiar statement reason chart set up, and we have some information that's given to us. We're given there is a triangle ABC, and we're given that line EC is parallel to segment AB. And we're proving that the measure of angle 4 plus the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 5 is going to equal 180 degrees. So I want you to take a moment, copy down the diagram, and when you're finished, you can restart the video. Welcome back. So by now you should have copied down the information, and you may have started looking at the proof on your own. If you're feeling adventurous, you remember proofs, by all means. Otherwise, you can follow along with me. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say that we have EC parallel to segment AB. Okay, and that's our given information. And what does that tell me? That tells me that angle 1 is congruent to angle 4. And it also tells me in the same step I can put angle 3 is congruent to angle 5. And my reason is that the alternate interior angle theorem. Theorem. Okay, so we've got our alternate interior angle theorem. When two lines are parallel and they're cut by a transversal, the alternate interior angles formed are congruent. Okay, well, how does this help me? I also know, because of this, that the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 4, is equal to the measure of angle 4, not plus. And I know that the measure of angle 3 is equal to the measure of angle 5. I might have to search your memory banks, but that is our definition of congruency. Okay, so now we've got that angle 1 is congruent to angle 4. We've got angle 3 is congruent to angle 5. And we've got angle 2 hanging out up there. Well, what do I know about measure of... Okay, well now I also know that the measure of angle 3 plus the measure of angle ECB is going to equal 180 degrees. Well, we know that that's a linear pair, so definition of linear pair. Well, but wait a second. What do I know about angle ECB? The measure of angle ECB is equal to the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2. That is our angle addition postulate. So angle addition postulate. Okay, so now I can use a little bit of substitution, and I can substitute in for measure of angle ECB. Step 6, the measure of angle 3 plus the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 equals 180 degrees. A little bit of substitution. Property of equality. And we did step 4 and step 5. Okay. Now we've got to make our line a little bit longer. And so now we've got those things add up to 180. But wait a second. We don't want 3, 1, and 2. So we have to do a little double substitution. So the measure of angle, so we're going to substitute in 5 for the measure of angle 3, and 4 for the measure of angle 1. So step 7, substitution, property of equality, lines 2 and line 6. Okay, so now we've proved that what we've always known, that the sum of the angles in a triangle are equal to 180. You're probably saying by now, why is this important? Well, it's important because we're going to use it in our next proof. So now that we've talked about the triangle angle sum theorem that says that the measure of the angles in a triangle all add up to 180 degrees, now we're going to talk about the triangle exterior angle theorem. The triangle exterior angle theorem states the following. The measure of each exterior angle of a triangle is equal to the measure of its two remote interior angles. So first we have to look at a diagram to see what that means to us. If I have a triangle, and we hopefully agree that that's a triangle, and I'll call it ABC, there is an exterior angle. So I'm going to give them some numbers. So 1, 2, 3, I'll call this one out here 4. Angle 4 is an exterior angle. Of triangle ABC. Now we're going to take 1 second and just briefly look at this diagram. Before I put anything into it and before we go any further, if I draw one that looks similar and I label it similarly, there are angles here. I extended this side of the triangle, I extended it out. I can do the same thing if I continue going around and I form angles there and there. I can also, going the other way, if I extended this side out this way, I would form an angle here. If I extended out this way, I would form an angle here. And if I extended this one out this way, I would form an angle here. So there are 2 possible exterior angles for every vertex of this triangle. So the first thing we have to talk about before we can prove anything is what a remote interior angle is. A remote interior angle, if you think about remote, it means far away. So if we're talking about angle 4, the angles that are far away from it are angle 3 and angle 2. So we're saying with the triangle exterior angle theorem is that the measure of angle 4 is equal to the sum of the measure of angle 2 and the measure of angle 3. Okay, so we're going to set this up and we're going to prove this so that we can use this in our problems. And we are given triangle ABC with exterior angle 4, and we're trying to prove that measure of angle 4 is equal to the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3. So let's write our statements and our reasons. And the first thing I look at is that I'm told that angle 4 is an exterior angle of triangle ABC. Okay, of triangle ABC. And the reason, of course, for that is that it's given. So now we have to talk about what we know from this diagram and from the information that we have. Well, I know that angle 1 and angle 4, angle 1 and angle 4 are a linear pair. And how do I know that? Well, our definition is that they are supplementary and adjacent. Okay, so step 2 is that it's a definition of linear pair. Okay, so what does that tell me? If I know that angle 1 and angle 4 are a linear pair, I know that angle 1 and angle 4 are supplementary. that's also part of that definition. Okay, so now that I know that they're a linear pair, I can say that the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 4 is equal to 180 degrees. Step 4, that's a definition of supplementary angles. Okay, so why does that help me? Well, what do I know about the rest of my angles? I know that the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 is also equal to 180 degrees. How do I know that? Well, I just talked about the triangle angle sum theorem. So let's use that here. Triangle angle sum theorem. Okay, so now that we know that we have measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 2 plus measure of angle 3 equal to 180, and the measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 4 is equal to 180, these things are both equal to 180. So step 6, I can say that measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 4 is equal to the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3. What's my reason for that? Substitution property of equality. Substitution Po. Hey, wait a second. I have measure of angle 1 on both sides, so now I know that measure of angle 1 is equal to the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 by the subtraction property of equality. I subtracted the same thing for both sides. So now we just proved that the exterior angle is equal to the two angles inside the triangle that are far away from it. So in the past, we had to have enough information to solve a question like this, and we used what we knew about linear pairs, and we found this angle over here on the side with the 6x plus 20, and we had to find that angle, and then we could solve using what we knew about triangles. But now we know that 6x plus 20, the exterior angle, is going to equal to the sum of the two remote, far away, interior angles. So we can just set this up, 4x minus 5. Okay, so 6x plus 20, and we combine our like terms, and I get that x plus 20 equals 35, so x equals 35. And if we're asked to solve for x, that's it, we're done. From here, we can find the rest of our angles. So now, just a reminder, you do have some problems to practice today. In your textbook, you can find pages 150 to 151, numbers 18 through 22, and page 153, numbers 42 through 44. Okay, so those are some problems based on the things that we talked about today. And tomorrow we will start talking about other things within triangles.